Right, let's get right to it then. When did this plan or this bill, when did it first the larger civil society groups in this?
Awareness came to light sometime in January, just last month. However, the process has been on since last year.
In other words, some person or persons of the oppression or populated society organizations in which not the correct assessment.
Yes, I think that's one thing grounds anger of the networks of civil society organizations in River State, because handling of particular fields affect all the civil society, organizations in River State. The question is, at the point this bill was conceived, why was a conference not convoked, to get inputs and minds of, the civil society players, so that if something comes out of it, it will composite of civil society organization in River State, that this is what we want to do. Funny enough, I am aware of from the onset and that a policy framework would be better. The maximum opinion on that of regulation of incorporations, it's item 32 of the second bill because the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is called the exclusive list, and only the National Assembly can such matters. So I advise the River Network of non-governmental organizations not to push this, bill, because it's not actually in the interest of civil society organizations in the terrain we are in.
That takes to the next question, Courage. Where did this bill emanate from?
Okay, it emanated from River State Network of non-governmental organizations. It's a body of, governmental organizations, CSOs in River State. We have lots of networks in River State, but it's one of the many networks.
So we're all participating CSOs in this network, we're all on board with this proposal.
We had very divergent opinions, positions on this. In fact, most of the network members were not agreed with it. I would simply say that we have some CSOs that are into development works, and we have CSOs that are into advocacy works. And it's basically putting the government on policies, legislation, governance, do what is the best interest of the people, only them to stop what they are doing. It's unlawful or it does not suit the rest of the people. Now we also have development organizations that can say, okay, the people in color community do not have water, so let us go and build them a borehole and all of that. So initially, the thought was like a harmonization, a partnership bill where those organizations that are into development, works can partner with the government so that they don't duplicate of the real statement and NG. That's the initial idea, which, sat down with some of us. But when we began to see we have basically going to regulate, civil society organization.
Let's talk about that, Courage. The problematic provisions of this bill. What exactly are they?
Okay, there is a particular section of the bill that tells civil society what should be in their constitution. And that's a problem to us. You don't tell us what should be in the constitution of our body. Then there is also another section that gives that establishes a registry, and this registry or the registrar is going to be appointed by the governor. That's a problem to us. There is another section, section 23 or so, that gives the registrar the right to impose fees at its discretion on civil society organizations. There is also another section that talks about annual reports, which now means that the right to privacy of this civil society organization goes down the drain, and government has the right to demand whatever information from you. government has that right to demand whatever fee they want to demand from you. So it's basically a problem. And for civil society like ours, I give you an instance of the NSAS campaign when we all came out and said, when we all came out for that protest, and then there was an executive order by the governor of Rivers State banning protests. And we reacted and told the governor this is unconstitutional in a statement. And we all came out and did our protest. So if this bill was a law, most of the organizations that were part of that protest could have been blacklisted, deregistered, derecognized, and that would have affected the entity itself. So it's basically a problem to us.
Speaking about the problematic sections of this proposed bill, or this bill rather, by the way, is it a bill or is it a proposed bill? In other words, has it been sent to the River State House of Assembly?
That discussion is still not very clear. There are we have information that it has not been sent. However, there was a conference in Abuja that one of the players, said it has been sent to the River State Assembly. So we are yet to determine the real position of this.
All right. Once again, speaking of some of the problematic provisions of this bill, Section 31 of the bill gives the registry powers to arbitrarily deregister organizations. The first paragraph states that, quote, the registrar shall remove any organization which it no longer deems to be a civil society organization as indicated through its annual reports. This paragraph, constructed literally, empowers the registry to leverage any information contained in an organization's annual report as a basis to remove it from the CSO register because it deems it unfit to continue being a CSO. The bill does not provide any process of engagement with the affected organizations before removal. It places sole and arbitrary powers on the registry. Organizations who believe they have been wrongly treated are advised in Section 57 to seek redress in court. The CSO is first removed and then directed to the court to seek redress. So if a CSO engages in a project or an initiative that might be considered offensive by government, and the program is in the evening, later, or in the morning rather, later that evening, the CSO can hear that it has been deregistered by government. Is that what this means?
I didn't hear you very
No, I said based on the section which I cited just a while ago, would I be right to say that it implies if a CSO organizes a program in the morning that government finds offensive, that CSO might be deregistered by government in the evening?
Yeah. So that's the problem with this particular bill, giving the government that discretional power over CSOs and the effect or consequence it will have on that particular organization. So this is what we don't want, because holistically, if you begin to look at all these problematic provisions, you would come to that conclusion that this is basically regulation of CSOs that the government in Rivers State, as a state government, does not have any power whatsoever, to deal with, because it's something that, has to do with the exclusive list, and it's something that should be controlled from the national, and that's why we have the KAMA, you understand, and all of that. So it's a duplication of efforts, if you ask me.
Also, I've seen Section 10 captioned fees and other amounts payable to the registry. The Commissioner of the Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning is empowered to impose fees payable to the registry by CSOs to fund. Just a moment, Courage. Just a moment. To fund the work of the registry, the bill provides no framework for determining this payment and leaves it to the discretion of the Commissioner. In simple terms, CSOs will be mandated to fund the functionality of the registry by paying an amount to be determined by an appointee of the state governor. The bill also empowers the registry to impose charges of such amount as it considers reasonable in respect of registration renewal. This provision seeks to create additional fees and empowers the government to impose exploitative fees with fiat. Go ahead, Courage.
You see, that's a major problem. You see what is happening in the political space, where we have either a law or Order 21 and Order 22 stating categorically that for a political party, you campaign, they are paying only fee of 5 million naira. So you could see that it was basically out of a discretional power from whatever policy or whatever law is enacted that they are doing that. So imagine when this kind of discretional power is given to impose fee. And look at the word that was used in that particular session. The right to impose fee, the discretional power to impose fee. So it's subject to abuse. And we know that once government is not in good relationship with any civil society organization, it will take advantage of the laws available to it to fight that organization. So, I mean, it's just like, shrinking the civic space, if not now, in the future.
We have to go for a commercial break right now. We'll return in a moment. This conversation will continue as the CSOs in River State kick against proposed bill to register existing CSOs. Remember, joining via Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. More on this with my guest, Courage Nsirimovu. When we return, do please stay with us. Welcome back to the Hard Factor Nigeria Info, your number one talk station. I'm Di. It's 4:30 p.m. Discussions are on, and some members of civil society organizations in Rivers State have kicked against the proposed bill intended to register existing CSOs. The members of the CSOs, during a one-day roundtable discussion, said the bill is aimed at stifling and reducing the civil space in the state. Executive Director of We the People, Ken Henschel, said the bill runs contrary to the constitution of the land.
Section 31 of the bill gives the registry powers to arbitrarily deregister organizations to leverage any information contained in an organization's annual report as a basis to remove it from the CSO register. It places sole and arbitrary powers on the registry. The above and several other aspects of the proposed law pose a serious threat to the existence of free operations of CSOs in Rivers State. If passed into law, the bill will only serve the purpose of stifling dissent, intimidating civil society organizations, and curtailing the civic space.
I'm asking you once again, join the conversation. What do you suppose could be the motivating factor for the Rivers State House of Assembly in considering this bill to register CSOs in the state? Via Facebook and Twitter at Nigerian for PH to join in. Also, once again, joining me via phone, Courage Nsirimovu, Esquire, Coordinator, the People's Advocate. Courage, welcome back.
Thank you, Dio.
Now, we've discussed how this came about. We've discussed some of the problematic provisions of this bill. If this bill sees the light of day and is passed into law, and that's a big if, by the way, what would be the implications? What could be the possible outcomes and results of a bill like this becoming law in Rivers State?
First of all, if they muscle us through the public hearing, and it becomes a law, we will contest it in court.
Before that, no. Before,
I understand your question. Okay. I understand your question.
Okay.
But I've just pushing that proviso. So, if you say what will be the implication of the bill in Rivers State, it would simply mean that civil society organizations, because if you read the interpretation section of this particular bill, it says that civil society organization would mean charitable organizations registered. So when you say charitable organizations, you're also talking about organizations that have registered with CAC. They will be affected. Now, provisions of the bill that now requires that you divulge some sensitive information, like the provision, I think that should be section 23 of the bill that talks about annual reports. It now means that the way you file your annual report to CAC at the federal level in compliance with the provisions of CAMA, you will also file another report to the Rivers State government stating whatever funds you've gotten over this period of time, stating the persons that work with you, and other information, your business address and all of that for the year. And given the kind of advocacy work that we do, it's not the kind of information that civil society organizations want to divulge to the Rivers State government. It's like giving yourself away. So to us, it's a problem. Corporate entity and the personnel in the corporate entity, you have the right to privacy. And to that extent, you really want to protect that privacy, especially if you're an advocacy organization. Then if you look at section 10, which the both of us have talked about, that gives the registrar the discretionary power to impose fees. So that is also very problematic, because if your relationship with the government at a point in time is not cozy, you may have a problem with them, and the fees imposed may be a problem. It may be something that may ground your organization for one reason or another. So these are the kind of provisions that we have a problem with. The duplicity of responsibility. We are regulated by the federal government, and now we will now be regulated by the state government. It's a major problem to us. So basically, these and some other provisions are the things we don't want to happen in Rivers State. We don't want to be regulated by the Rivers State government. So if the bill sees the light of day, those are some of the challenges we would be facing, Dio.
Does the bill have any legal standing?
Yeah, that's a major question. That's a major question. Like I've said initially, you can't place something on nothing and expect it to stand. Every law that is made by the Rivers State House of Assembly draws its legitimacy from the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because the Constitution has what is called the exclusive list, the concurrent list, and the residual list. So the exclusive list is only for the National Assembly. Whatever item is on the exclusive list are items only the National Assembly can legislate. And like I said initially, item 32 of the exclusive list clearly states that matters of incorporation, regulation, winding up are matters that only the the National House of Assembly can legislate on. So when we had a meeting with the, I can't remember the name of the House of Assembly member that intends to champion this bill, we confronted him. I told him, Rivers State Government, House of Assembly, you don't have power, constitutional power, so to speak, to legislate on the regulation of civil society organization, even if you try to deflect. When we look at the provision, it's all about regulating civil society organization. So on validity, legality, and constitutionality of this bill, I think the Rivers State House of Assembly does not have power to legislate on it. Tayo.
Now, talking about if the sponsors of this bill, those behind it, and maybe they are co-conspirators in the Rivers State House of Assembly, insist on going ahead with this, and to borrow your expression from a while ago, if they're able to muscle CSOs in the state out of the way and go ahead to passing this, what will be the response of CSOs in Rivers State?
I'll give you an instance. Some years back, during the Amechi dispensation, there was a particular bill that sailed through. It's called Social Service Contributory Levy Bill. It sailed through and it became a law, and we contested it. The Institute of Human Rights and Humanitarian Law contested that particular law in court. Until today, that particular law did not see the light of day because of that contest, because the honorable justice or the judge decided in our favor that matters of taxation are already under the exclusive list, and the state cannot, it will amount to multiple taxation for us to have that kind of tax again in Rivers State. So I see the same kind of thing happening to this particular bill, given that we are already regulated by the federal government. You know what happened during NSAS and how they were blocking accounts of non-governmental organizations arbitrarily and the rest of them. So it will be worse at this level. So it's something that must be challenged. And if civil society organizations in Rivers State are listening, my suggestion is that we can self-regulate. If you look at NBA, the Nigerian Bar Association, it's self-regulated. They have their disciplinary body, they have the dues that they pay, and they use it for the good of the body. So we need to come together. Nobody is trying to either, victimize or fight another sect of civil society organizations in Rivers State. We are all part of a body. But it's better for us to self-regulate than for us to, get the government to regulate us. Because, it's like someone would say, we can't share a bed with the government.
Join the conversation right now. Lines open, call 0700 923 0923. You'd like to contribute to this ongoing conversation. You're welcome to do so. Call 0700 923 0923. Or join us via facebook.com/NigerianInfoPH. We're live there at the moment. That's facebook.com/NigerianInfoPH. Also via Twitter at NigeriaInfoPH. A reminder, the number to call once again, 0700 923 0923. Courage, I don't know if you can get into the minds of the sponsors of this bill or those who came up with this idea and the conspirators in the...
I can't hear you very clear. Could you speak out?
Okay, you know what? I'll ask the question later. Hello, Hard Factor, welcome. Please go ahead.
Hello there, good afternoon.
Go ahead, please.
Neka speaking from Port Harcourt. See, Nigerians have compound problems. What are the jobs of our state legislatures? Being good boys to the governor. Well, we have the citizens. We are the citizens are the problem of our state. What percentage of Nigerians have? Hello.
Go ahead.
I say, what percentage of Nigerians vote for good legislators? What percentage of Nigerians have started thinking about who to vote as legislators in their various states and federal? But to pray, we pray so much. Let me stop here. That we are the problem of ourselves. We that not politicians are the problem of Nigeria. Politicians are secondary. Thank you.
You're welcome. Once again, 0700 923 0923 is the number to call. Joining via Facebook and Twitter at Nigeria Info PH as well. Let's get your take on the matter. Courage, I was going to ask you a question earlier on. The question I was asking is, you might know those who are behind this bill, and you might know they are conspirators as well in the House of Assembly. What do you suppose their motivation is? What do you think is inspiring them to toe this path that they appear insistent on?
They had, every legislation or policy, seeks to solve a particular, like I said, the background to this ordinarily would be that there has been issues of multiple registration. In their opinion, that civil societies that want to be registered with the government has to go to Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Welfare, Ministry of Budget Planning, and all of that. There has been that, kind of allegation and all of that they want to have a one-stop shop on that. However, okay,
I'm not Courage. I'm not asking you what they said the motivation is. I'm asking what you think the real motivation is. But I will come back to you shortly. Hello, Hard Factor. Welcome. Go ahead. Hard Factor, hello, you're welcome. You're live on radio. Go ahead, please. All right, Courage. Once again, I wasn't asking you what they said the motivation is. I'm asking what you think the real motivation is.
Dayo, I can't clearly comment on that.
Okay, that's fine. Now, maybe you can comment on my next question then. Now, you mentioned a network of civil society organizations just a while ago as where this bill emanated from. What is that network called again?
Pardon? River State Network of Non-Governmental Organizations.
What is the full acronym then?
River State Network of Non-Governmental Organizations. RINGOs.
Okay, RINGOs. Okay, RINGOs. Hello, Hard Factor. Welcome.
Hello, Mr. Dayo.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes, Comrade SBS, that's right. I'm calling from Ogunabali. Dayo, do you know why all these CSOs have to be regulated? You know, most of them are bold enough. They have condemned all the draconian law, Executive Order 21 and 22, and the others. So that is why this is part of the punishment, to regulate them, to muzzle them so they cannot be able to be bold again to speak. So that is only what this law is for. Because I believe that at a time when they were trying to say everything they know about what is happening, why should they say so? The governor have told us last time, anybody who touches them must be beached and the person must receive. So that is what we are seeing in Rivers State. But it is only God that will see us through in this state. Thank you. I rest my case, Dayo.
You're welcome. So, once again, Courage, you mentioned Ringos, I think, a network of civil society organizations has been responsible for this bill. Now, what that says, I mean, immediately, is that this bill came from within civil society as well in Rivers State. How disturbing is that? But before you respond to that, let's take another call. Hello, Hard Fact, welcome.
Yeah, good evening, Dayo.
Hi, go ahead.
This is Anas.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, I think your guest has done justice to the issue of the bill, but I don't think it's a duplication. You can best describe it as a domestication, an attempt to domesticate the Karma Act in the state. Like he did mention, there are multiple registrations in several ministries for NGOs that are duly registered, that carry out the activity in the state and also in the state. They register Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Health, several ministries, Ministry of Social Welfare, and all several ministries. And this could be cumbersome. So in attempting to harmonize, I don't think that is anything too bad in it. But like I said, it's an attempt to domesticate the Karma Act. It is not quite different from what the Karma Act is. So what is the who's and cry about this?
Okay,
That's the question. I'm a big concern. I'm of the civil society organization as well.
Okay, my guest has given answers to these questions. These issues you've raised earlier on. So I'm not sure. Well, if you're still confused, we can't go about that again. If you've listened to the interview from the beginning, all of these matters you raised have been answered already. Courage, to the question I asked you before I took that call, you mentioned the network of civil society groups, organizations in River State, a Ring School or Riv School or something like that, as being...
Could you be...
You mentioned a network of civil society organizations in River State, I think Ring School or something of that nature. Ringos. Oh, okay, pardon me.
Network of non-governmental organizations.
Okay, Ringos it is then. So as being responsible for this,
Yeah.
do you find it disturbing that this bill is emanating from within civil society here in River State?
Very disturbing because it now seems like we are not abreast with our history, because if you understand the trajectory, the timeline, even from the military down to the democratic era, and the kind of, challenges we've had with the government, then you won't just, toss into the lion's den. You shouldn't do that, because like one of the callers said, that this may be an attempt to gag civil society organizations, because the moment you allow them to regulate us, there will be a limit to our advocacy, because there will be that, that if you do this, will I be registered? If I do this, will I be derecognized? Because the registrar has that power to deregister or derecognize. So it's a problem. It now even has on right to association. So you give those powers to the state, and if be at the National Assembly is anything to go back that you said that there is a bill at the Assembly which proposes that should see their way to the government before it gets to the nation. So imagine what would in such a comment. That means that the register of the Directory of Civil Society Organization now goes it at the government. So if, for instance, funders want to fund the race, they now go to the River State government I'm saying. This is what you're doing right. This is the human rights and humanitarian. The people who advocate will affect. The people will affect, and that's what we want.
Are there civil society organizations in Rivers State that are against?
Civil society organizations against.
Are there civil society organizations in Rivers State that are against this?
Yeah, and variety civil organizations were present in the cluster of civil society that are Rivers State civil society organizations. So over 80 institutions right now, they are saying no deal. Some are saying no the deal. 12
resolutions with
yeah, so fight the light of it. So they are in assembly. I am thinking that this point is to regional court and get an House assembly, from doing that. It's legal, given that bill to do
assembly from its constitution talk.
All
right.
Because if you begin to it means that maybe a period of 1 or 2 years it will be in pressure. So we have to be proactive. That's again.
I believe not we have the conversation the peace advocates wish you and CSOs in Rivers State, and I believe I got